Okay, hi everyone. Good morning and afternoon to folks on the line. Looks like we have about 11 of our cohort on the line, so I want to thank you for joining us for today's call. We're using GoToMeeting, so I wanted folks to feel free at any point in time. This is not meant to be a formal presentation today, but to feel free to jump in with questions. So you can do that in two ways. So one is we're going to unmute your line so you could speak to us directly on the line, and or you can use the chat box feature for any questions. So depending on how you're calling in today, feel free to use either of those features. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. I think Jeff Caballero, the Executive Director here at APCHO, is going to be joining us in just a few minutes, so wanted to let you know if you do have questions, he'll be available for those as well. But just real briefly, I want to go through the agenda for today's call. We're going to spend a little bit of time in order to make sure everybody received your first reporting template form via email. And we're going to go through that and answer any questions you may have. Just wanted to allow some time for you guys to interact directly around that. And then wanted to also provide you all with a brief overview of what's going to occur at the March 17th meeting, which is primarily directed for the CEOs and EDs involved with the Civic Engagement Project at the NAC, the National Association of Community Health Center meeting in Washington, D.C., just about a week away. And then provide you, of course, with some updates around the partner survey, another opportunity for the SALSA training, and then just some of the things that are happening regarding the primary care funding cliff, and then close with some of the key dates that we've flagged for the initiative that are upcoming so that you all can kind of plan and calendar specific events around those times. So it looks like we've got almost everyone on the line. So for those who just joined, welcome, and wanted to offer you a couple ways to chat with us or ask questions at any point in time. Your lines will be unmuted, so feel free to jump in if you have questions and or use the chat box feature. So just went over the agenda for the call today and wanted to get us started on just going through the reporting form, and I'm not sure how many questions we'll have, but wanted to allow ample time for folks to jump in. So what I wanted to do is just kind of run through the form. Some of it's very self-explanatory, but encourage folks to jump in. And again, this first report is due back to APCHO by March 16th. And this one is a critical report. I know there's a huge time period here, so I wanted to first acknowledge that the reporting period is going to go back all the way to August 1st, 2014. This is primarily because there were many of you engaged in early election processes and already beginning or well into your voter and civic engagement activities as of August. So want to allow you ample opportunity to report on all those activities and outcomes. So that is the reason why the reporting period is going back and preceding our MOU period, just to allow you more flexibility to count, I think, what was a critical time pre-election back to August. So stop me if you have any questions at any point in time. So just moving on, I think the first major key deliverable item is your total number of voter registrations that you were able to complete. Gauging back to August, for those of you who were already engaged and actually actively tracking those numbers, I understand and I know that many of you really got more involved as the MOU rolled out and as you received more details. So as of the time that you began tracking your voter registration activity is fine to include in this reporting period. So if you weren't doing anything back as far as August, that's completely fine. Just include what you have up till February 28th.
Hi, Jen. I actually have a question about that. This is Kimberly from Asia.
Hi, Kimberly.
Yeah. So in terms of the completed voter registration, number one, are you asking for completed forms are on our end, or are you asking for forms, the total number of forms that were accepted on behalf of our?
Came out later, so.
Jen,
someone else have a question?
Yeah, this is 2 from Asian Health Services. So just to follow up on that one, so in ours, there were some people who re-registered for whatever reason, so we can't differentiate them from the new registration because we didn't track that. But then we tracked those who had already registered and were committed to voting. And it would be nice to separate the two because the commitment cards were really hard work too.
I see. Okay. So maybe we can make that distinction on this reporting form. I'm happy to do that. I want to make sure you guys get credit for all of those. So maybe a distinction here of the newly registered voters and those are committed to vote or previously registered. I can note that.
This is Perla. Can I ask a question?
Hi, Perla.
Hi. My question is there a way we can track or monitor our completed registrants? Because you know what? We do online, but some of those receive a paper form from the registrar's office saying that their signature wasn't available, so they have to complete the paper form. So is that considered our counts or no? So we don't know exactly if they were successfully registered by us. Thank you.
Got it. Perla, I'm gonna note that, and I think I'm gonna also maybe adapt this reporting form. So this is what's super helpful from you guys is for us to clarify and count all those distinctions. I understand. So I think we'll talk also because I think there's a way to confirm whether those registrations were fully completed, but whether or not that was done by your staff. I have to follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful. Any other questions on this item? So I'm hearing, yeah, I'm going to make a clearer distinction here on newly registered and those who were previously registered stated so and were committed to vote.
Hi, Jen. I actually have one more question. Are you interested in the amount of pledge cards or pledge card tracking in any shape or form, or is that something that you not necessarily want us to track on Apacho's grant report?
I think for this first, I think what Tu was saying too, that you, to correct me if I'm wrong, you're tracking the committed to vote or pledge card equivalent right now. I don't think for this first reporting period we were planning to hold you all to that. I know that there's kind of a variance in what folks' involvement was, so I would say continue tracking those, and what I can do is build that into the second quarter report for a cumulative total, but I want to make sure that everyone's able to have a tool and are able to track that. Does that help, Kimberly?
Yes, that was helpful. Thank you.
So Jen, not to belabor this point, but I think now hearing all these comments, it is good to track. Because at the end, in 2016 and beyond, at the end of the day, we want to know how many people we can get to the poll, not just how many people register. So it would be good to count these in different categories, and then down the line, hopefully in next year, we can really be able to look at how many people we got to the polls, the GOCV effort. So just making sure we don't lose that big goal at the end. Yeah.
Sure. Got it. Okay. So hang on. I'll make these changes today in the reporting form, and if you haven't gotten to that point of evolution in your tracking, don't worry about it. But I think since many of you on the call are already doing so, we'll get that commitments to vote count built into the reporting form. Thank you, guys. Okay. Any other questions on this question? You know, the reporting number 1 on voter registrations. Okay. I'm just going to move on. So question 2 is just describe your civic engagement activities conducted during this reporting period. So this is really a chance for us to learn more about what you had done pre-election period and or post in terms of voter registration activities or civic engagement education activities. So this is a pretty broad sense of any key activities that you conducted as of August. 3, I think we wanted to know a little bit more about what efforts you're taking to do staff education and training. This can be anything from talking about the primary care funding cliff to talking about voter registration, messaging with your frontline folks, doing staff education, letting them know that this is a new initiative that you may be participating in, what their role is in it, or any staff-based initiatives that you're engaged in. And number 4 is we want to know a little bit more about your civic engagement partnerships. So for those of you who are working and or subcontracting in some cases to external civic engagement organizations or participating in a roundtable in your region or state, opportunity for us to clarify what those relationships are. And I think with this information, we'll try to I think convene folks who might be involved in similar partnerships to compare lessons learned.
Jen?
Yeah.
So in terms, I think all along I've kind of defined the civic engagement more around voter registration and get out the vote, but you mentioned the funding cliff. So are all of those included? And also in the survey, you guys even asked questions about DACA and DAPA. So I just want to know sort of what the boundaries are in terms of reporting around partnerships and staff education and training.
Right. I mean, I think that what APTO, you know, in this partnership with Coulter, while we know the voter engagement piece is a huge investment around this, I think we are also looking at broader, to capture the broader civic engagement work that many of you may be involved with. And I think as part of our efforts with the CHC cohort is to really be able to build the base that we can mobilize folks around issues like the primary care funding cliff and or DACA DAPA issues. So I think we want to get a good sense of that, what we are also defining as a broader scope of civic engagement beyond just voter registration. So that's why on the form you kind of saw a little bit broader sense of other partnerships or key issue areas that are, you know, really important to health centers that you might be involved with, so we can see that potential. Does that help clarify too?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Hey, Jane.
Yeah. Hi, Jesse.
Hey, just want to follow up on Tu's point. This year, actually, for in New York State, there won't be any election. This is actually an off year for us. So I guess, you know, this actually goes to the question about, you know, how do you define civic engagement? Definitely, I think, you know, like you say, you know, the funding cliff, you know, is you know, it will be something good for us to be involved in. Our health centers also been involved in doing a lot of naturalization clinics, helping our patients, you know, to fill out citizenship applications. We're going to be working with our city government to start a municipal ID campaign, you know, for any community members, regardless of their, you know, legal status in New York City. Can that be counted? I'm just curious, you know, how broadly do you define civic engagement?
Hi, Xiaoqi. This is Jeff. And hi, everybody. Jeff, I just got here. I'm sorry for joining your group late. No, citizenship is very much in the realm of the civic engagement work that health centers can be engaged in. But to be very frank with you, it hasn't been explicitly discussed with Sue in terms of what we're expecting our health centers to do about citizenship. She does welcome it, but it needs to be, I think there's an opportunity to build it into civic engagement, particularly, or give your health center credit for it. We just need to figure out what that mechanism is that we'll be able to report that in. Because right now, everything has been, as you may have heard already, everything has been associated with these lists that are being developed, and that's part of the evaluation. But we need to talk about how we can incorporate citizenship and measure it so that we can say that it's part of the work that you've done this year towards these efforts.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I ask is that we actually, getting some separately received some small funding also from COTA to work with, a local CBO on citizenship. I mean, I just thought, would it make sense to count it in this report, or should I just not mention it at all?
No, I would mention it. I would mention it because one of the things that COTA doesn't get very often are written reports. So she values what we submit her.
Okay.
I would include it definitely, Xiaoqi, in the partnerships and engagement piece.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. What about the municipal ID campaign?
Yeah, you need to educate us more about that.
This is actually one of the kind of like new initiative in many cities with very progressive mayors. I mean, the feeling was that we need to welcome and we need to treat everyone regardless of legal status in terms of with respect, and that there shouldn't be fear about deportation, and there should not be fear about trying to access services. So in New York City, starting this year, we actually, the City Hall implemented a massive municipal ID campaign, and they have reached out to different nonprofits, including us, that they'll be partnering with us. We'll be partnering with the City Hall in terms of letting them use our space so that we can also enroll our patients, so that they could receive their municipal ID card, and with that card, they could open a bank account. They could use it to apply for a number of different things, and they also get discounts to visit many museums and parks in New York City.
Wow, that's great.
Wow, yeah, I think just the premise that it helps empower our community, I would add that on, and we'll figure it out later. Make sure those type of efforts get credit too.
Xiaoqi, I will, since I'm editing this anyway, just to better.
No. I think places like San Francisco, other cities, have already implemented this municipal ID campaign.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think I'll just add, I think in the additional comments, or even just new opportunities or new initiatives, because I know we are looking at key items central for us, like the primary care funding cliff, but also I think where there's synergy in our partnerships too, that will be supporting those issues.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the rest of the report is relatively standard. So just any major challenges and barriers that you've encountered during this first reporting phase, and then key strategies and lessons learned. I think these are key items that are going to help indicate us for future webinars, learning opportunities, and then when we do have the opportunity in May to convene you all face-to-face, to capitalize on these lessons learned. Number 9 is just a civic engagement highlight. I think us hearing stories, and not only for the funder purposes, but we do want to uplift and see, if there are examples or successes that we want to showcase from the work that we're doing. So sharing anything from success related to, if it's an internal staff initiative around staff education, a community partnership breakthrough or highlight, or an individual experience with a patient or community member, anything is welcome on that front. I think we do have a communication support here, so we want to make sure those stories get highlighted on behalf of the initiative and then also for your health centers. So, and then number 10, I think I'm going to look here too. It's additional comments or things that you feel like we should know or be aware of, and maybe I can sort of specify here to new initiatives or opportunities or changes in the landscape that we should be aware of that are going to impact the work.
Hey Jen, it's Sue again. I was wondering, just to be helpful to APCHO, maybe you can start a site that if we had pictures related to some of these events, we can upload so that you can use down the line, because I know that there's always a request down the line for pictures, so it might be good to plan ahead of time for that.
Do it in real time and not after, yes. Great. Thank you. Great suggestion. Okay. So are there any other questions for other folks on the line just about the reporting?
Hey Jen, it's me, Shao-Chi again. So you know, as I mentioned before, you know, I don't know the situation in other states. In New York State, you know, there's basically, you know, not much going on in terms of election this year. So I mean, and Sue Wen and her sisters, they were here in New York, you know, literally a week ago. They put a lot of emphasis on us in terms of, you know, really pushing us to work on the funding cliff issues. So my question to you and to Jeff is that, from APCHO perspective, I mean, are we, each of the health centers, are we supposed to deliver a specific number of like postcards or letters? I mean, will you guys be like, you know, giving us some technical assistance? I mean, you know, I also, I apologize, I did not attend the SALSA training. I don't know whether that's even related to the funding cliff issue or the funding cliff issue. I mean, will you guys talk about it more, you know, when we meet up in DC in a couple of weeks?
Yes, absolutely. I think we are definitely planning an action. I have that kind of as a slide in a couple minutes, but we are going to have a briefing on that in DC, and then also trying to get our own action item out. I think in the survey that you guys all received, we also wanted to get a sense from this whole cohort, all 16 of you, to what degree you're already involved in, you know, your state PCA work or any individual work you're doing, or regional work through your consortia if you have one. Just so APCHO knows how to align with those efforts. I've talked to a few of you about a postcard campaign and getting that rolled out ASAP. So we are working on that, and I think I'll talk a little bit more about it in just a minute. But yes, we are acting on the cliff.
Mm-hmm. And as you heard Sue already, she is trying to not just the health centers, but she is trying to mobilize all of her grantees to do support advocacy work on the fiscal cliff. So right now we're trying to get materials and information lined up that can be utilized to help educate and inform the other Coulter partners of the importance of the health centers, the importance and the impact of the cliff can have on their communities, so that we can start helping to educate all the other partners about how critical it is that they need to be involved in the advocacy and policy work in supporting that as well. And that's a big lift, Shao-Chi, because there's a lot of folks who have not worked with health centers before and are just learning what health centers are now. So, but I think this is a good exercise for the entire Coulter consortium, because it's similar types of issues that I think it gives us an opportunity to start developing relationships with one another around issues that are important to AAPIs, not just to each of our specific sectors.
Yeah, I mean, to follow up on that, I actually had to do a presentation about the funding cliff issue last Friday. With all the New York City Coulter grantees in New York City. I guess, the next thing was being asked for me is that a lot of nonprofit asked me whether there's any types of template letters, like who in New York State who is not supporting, action on funding cliff. I guess I just need a little bit more TA or guidance or strategies, I guess, from APCHO in terms of, who do you want us to reach out to? I mean, we already got our congresswoman, our states, our senators to sign on, sign on those letters. Who else is it that we need to do? I guess I'm just a little unclear, and it would be even better for us if you guys have those template letter, so I don't need to start from scratch. Great.
Absolutely. That's a perfect segue, I think, to just do the quick overview, Xiaoqi, of what's going to be happening in D.C. And the meeting, the civic engagement convening of the APCHO CEOs in D.C. was not a mandatory meeting for civic engagement coordinators. However, we recognize several of you will be in attendance and come to the next DNI anyway. So what we will be rolling out there, just as a brief overview of this is what's going to happen, and we'll do a post debrief on our next call here, is just an opportunity for Sue to kind of impart her current vision, which many of us are already aware of, and then for APCHO to talk about our role on this project and what we're providing in partnership with the Coulter Foundation. There will be more of a case, because I know there's been a bit of mystery around the consultant pool that Sue has available for us. But I will say on APCHO's side, we are rolling out pretty much, I think, a more targeted matrix, which is the tool you're kind of looking for, Xiaoqi, of the templates, but also a more strategic look at who are the targets or the folks that we want to message to that you may have not already, and how can you plug into those efforts. So we're generating state-based fact sheets. We have to be careful around our advocacy language here, so I'm not supposed to use the word target. But state-based fact sheets, this might be something you're already aware of, Xiaoqi, but I think we're hoping that these are kind of more marching orders for the centers to take back, and I think templates are one piece of what we can be offering TA on, and then I think also more direct actions that folks can be taking, particularly, I think, for you guys, since this is an off year, how can we take advantage of that capacity? So essentially the consultants in DC, what you'll be seeing is each of them will be presenting their scope of work and how it relates to this particular initiative. And we have Mark Weatherhorn, who many of you are familiar with, and his scope of service. Some of you, this might be super helpful what Mark is able to offer, and so we have a chance for your CEOs and EDs to feel these folks out. George Pillsbury from Nonprofit Vote, little similar scope to what Mark provides, and George Christie from State Voices. This is kind of like talking about more state-based coordination of roundtables and their work. And then Christine Chen, I think, is going to round us out from APIA Vote, who works very closely with State Voices, and I think who APCHO is partnering with directly, particularly around the language supports and strategies for NHOPIs. So this is, I think, coming full circle to your reports. One ask that we have is for you to please schedule a briefing with your CEO or ED around your first quarter or first reporting for the initiative, so they have a good sense of just the activities, the challenges, because we are going to be breaking them out into some roundtable discussions, I think, just to gauge synergy and their involvement and potentials for future movement and trainings that might be relevant to your site. So as you finish your reports, please go ahead and calendar a briefing. I think if your CEO would greatly appreciate that going into this meeting as a prep item.
Yeah, we don't want your CEOs to be in front of Coulter not knowing what you all did. So please help them be prepared.
Yeah.
Jen,
does someone have?
This is Perla. Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Jen, there's missing number 5 and 6. I don't know if the items are just 1 to 8 or there's something really that should be there. Thank you.
Got it. Thanks, Perla.
Xiaoqi?
Yes.
Xiaoqi, folks, so I just also more directly answering your questions with regards to targeting strategy. I want you to know that Jen and I, we started out with California. We already had our meeting with the California Primary Care Association, and we've been working closely with NAC as well. And so we are going to be working with them to ensure that you all are informed about who among the elected officials are already supporting the effort and who we still need to try to get, and a sense of priority between all the ones that we have access to. But to let you know, NAC's strategy right now in the phase 3 is to try to help is not limited to the federal folks, but it's trying to get state elected officials, city council, city supervisors, mayors to jump on board so that they can contact and also put pressure on the federal elected officials to make sure that they're all in support and have a clear understanding of what is at stake back home for them. And we will try to keep you all informed about the progress of how those targets are who's being reached and who still needs to be reached.
Hey Jeff. So I guess just to be a little bit more practical. I mean, I've actually been asked in the past couple of days, like people literally ask me for template letters. What do you want them to write? I mean, do you guys have those template letters ready now that you could share, or you want us to wait until the March 17th meeting?
Wait till the 17th meeting, because we have the meeting. There's some templates that NAC has distributed, but we want to make sure that we put our spin into them, as well as the input from the consultants that we're trying to coordinate efforts with as well.
Okay.
So Jeff, just along that, because we have our March 12th Bay Area Roundtable, and I was going to get those letters to our partners, so I should hold off on that?
If you have something pending, don't wait. No, don't hold off.
I was just going to use the NAC letter.
Just share with us what you've used if you have something that you are already using. But if it can wait, Xiaoqi, I would recommend waiting. But if it can't wait, please don't hold off your involvement until we have something.
Okay, I guess I'll just wait.
Yeah. So, but right now, the existing material is NAC's material that can be used for reference.
Yeah. So maybe Jeff, I can just take the NAC letter and maybe add some spins to it, and then circulate it among us with Xiaoqi, and because we're going to use that for the March 12th, since it's a good opportunity anyways. We'll share that, and then we can create a revised version down the line.
Yeah, that would be.
Can you share that on the CEC listserv, just that address? That'd be great, and everybody can see it.
Yeah, I haven't done it. I mean, I was going to use the NAC letter, but it may be good to add the API data point to it. So.
Right. You know what too? I mean, I can share with you the PowerPoint presentation that I already conducted on, at New York City Roundtable about, the importance of FQHC and funding cliff issues.
Yeah.
We can copy and paste and refine.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we just can get the letter out, because I think we do need to move, because for some states we are going to do ledge visits during the P&I. So
yeah. Absolutely. If you guys could share that on the list, that'd be great. I also would love to see your presentation, Xiaoqi, because I'm doing similar presentation to API vote.
Oh, okay. My is more local,
Great. Okay, so I'm going to note the time and also address a question that came up via chat. Was is the civic engagement meeting in DC going to be live streamed or recorded? It is not going to be live streamed, but we will be taking notes and minutes that I'm happy to circulate to you all who cannot be there. And our next call will also prioritize that meeting, and folks who were in attendance may ask them to report back to, so we make sure that feedback loop happens. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. We just touched upon this pretty strongly. So I just wanted to note, so for those of you who may need more information about the primary care funding cliff, one of the things, APTO is putting out a primary care funding cliff fact sheet, which should be available by the 17th meeting, and we'll subsequently roll out to everyone else the CEC. For the answer campaign, maybe you should be familiar with it. They rolled out phase 3, so we touched quite a bit along this, but there are details on the Access is the Answer website, which I can send out after this call again on the CEC listserv if you aren't familiar with that. But as Tu mentioned, there are templates sourced there. There are also basically 3 main asks in their campaign, our campaign for the primary care funding cliff, ranging from engaging opportunities for your boards of directors, to pass a board resolution or do a board letter to your member of Congress, to continue to engage your staff and patients. What APTO is also launching is, I think we talked about this opportunity for a postcard campaign, and that, of course, we would translate and leave open to you as far as the congressional member that you'd want to send to. And then, of course, ongoing engagement with your elected officials and partners. I think the survey, which is also due next Friday, will also give us an indication of those of you who are already working maybe more closely with your PCA coordinated efforts. So, again, what APTO is doing is trying to align and fall in, but also with the Access is the Answer campaign as it's rolling out nationally and at your state level efforts, but also to add, obviously, the NHOPE impact piece on there, which thank you all for, I think a handful of you have completed the survey to date, but we're also asking everyone to please complete the Primary Care Cliff Fund calculator, impact calculator, which is linked in the survey, so we can have at least a cumulative impact on behalf of the NHOPE centers. And
so Jen, just a quick note
yeah.
on the calculator. We had a call with our California PCA, with our Alameda Alliance group today, and there's some confusion on you can contact Luella because Dong did it a certain way. Otherwise, it's going to be really skewed, and I don't think NAC gave us very good instructions on that. So I want to touch bases with Dong or Luella, and then send it out to the group.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, Jill. Okay, so in the remaining time, I just wanted to provide you guys with some key updates. So next slide. Yeah, I already did. So these are dates for you all to flag. So one is April 12th to the 14th, 2015. So this is during API Heritage Month, which I know is an active month probably for all of you. We are going to, oh, I'm sorry, May. Sorry, guys, that is incorrect. It's May 12th to 14th, 2015. During API Heritage Month, we're going to be convening a face-to-face civic engagement coordinators meeting in Washington, D.C. Funding for this trip is not going to come out of your civic engagement grant award. It'll be covered through APTO and Coulter. We would like to ask that you all are in attendance there. That's a key part. And then we're also allowing you to bring one other person from, ideally a staff person from your organization that you and your CEO are on the same page about in terms of maybe seeing them as an emerging civic engagement leader. This is, a long-term investment, and I think we want to invite folks that you feel are in that kind of legacy pipeline around civic engagement leadership in your health center family to come to this meeting with you. But during this time, and I'll let Jeff can share a little bit more, but really we want to have a face-to-face convening, but also use this opportunity to, I think, give you all the opportunity to experience and participate in some of the key kind of culminating like our API leadership and civic engagement infrastructure, I guess, in the U.S. So there are a few key events. So one is April. There are several events, and we're determining our face-to-face convening in between these events. But one is the WIAPI Policy Summit, which is scheduled for May 12th. So sorry, guys, These are all May. And then on May 13th is the CAPAC, the Congressional APA Caucus event. And on April 14th is the Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies.
I just wanted to say this. We chose particularly this week to share with you and during our face-to-face meeting, because it really is not just symbolically but literally the highlight of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander advocacy and policy work in action. From the WIAPI Policy Summit, first time ever that's being planned. The different cabinet secretaries of the different agencies in the federal government reporting to us at the summit what they have done in the last couple of years to try to advance our community's wellness, as well as a number of roundtables that they're planning on convening for discussions for communities in terms of elevating their issues. So this is the first time ever, and we want to be able to really share that with all of you so you can see our community advocacy in action. The Congressional Caucus meets with the community every year, and it's a really unique opportunity to meet all the members of Congress that hold themselves accountable to AAPIs, and it's a very rare opportunity as well. And then the gala event that's happening on the evening of the 14th, this is the organization that recruits, promotes, and tries to elevate every elected AAPI official across the country, from school boards to members of Congress or state elected officials. They all attend this event, and it's an opportunity for our community, our advocates, and all of these elected officials to be together and celebrating the accomplishments and the agenda of the AAPI community. So it only occurs once a year, and we thought that it would be a great opportunity not just to share with you, but also to share with a future leader in your organization who would be involved in civic engagement as well. So we hope that everybody will take advantage of that opportunity and join us in that week in May.
Okay, any questions about May? I just want to also acknowledge that that is a substantial amount of time away from your health centers. But as Jeff said, I think this is going to be one of our key convenings for the CECs during this year one. So if there are challenges for you, please feel free to contact me individually. But we know it's a time commitment, but we want to make it worth your while. And I think our face-to-face convening opportunity, we will be showcasing, I think, some of the best practices that you all have had a chance to engage in and want to engage in, and more face time to connect and share lessons learned, and also I think any training needs that you'd like for us to capitalize on during that face-to-face time. Let's see, I think we have a, so more details around the schedule of events in DC. We'll be sending those out. You should know that APTO has already booked a block room of hotel rooms, so that are near the venue. So please don't worry about hotel reservations. And we'll try to get that information out to you. We've been working hard to confirm that as soon as possible. So the other, I think, key week that we want you to flag for activities is National Health Center Week, which is August 8th to the 12th. What we have had the opportunity to do is to broker with NAC for them to showcase an API town hall during that week. We haven't identified the date, but this would be a great opportunity. I think in our minds, it's a virtual streaming kind of opportunity, so you can either participate via, if you are planning your own town hall during that time period, that's fabulous. If not, just even participating online, kind of like a, what do they call it, Google
Hangout.
Google Hangout. So NAC would be partnering with us to kind of capitalize on that. So we're asking that all 16 health centers kind of be teed up to participate in that town hall with NAC. And I think we'll be talking about more details around what's possible for you and any synergy you might have with existing events that you're already engaged in. So any questions about either API Heritage Week and or National Health Center Week? Okay. If not, just in our last few minutes, just a couple of quick reminders. So I know not everyone was able to participate in the first salsa training, and I'm sad to report that the training was not recorded. So what we are doing here at APCHO is working with SALSA to host another orientation training, and we're going to line that up for mid-April as soon as we're back from the DC meeting. So hold on tight. And I also wanted to clarify, like SALSA, although it has the capacity for email actions, it's also intended to serve as a database list for you all around your health center champions or folks who are willing to stand up for future issues impacting the health center. So you don't have to use it as an email tool. It can have that capacity if you have members on there who do utilize email, but it can also be used as just a reference tool to track or sort folks by phone numbers, which we know will probably be more likely follow-up mobilization opportunity in the future. Also, you should have received the Civic Engagement Partner Survey. We'd like for you guys to turn that in by next Friday. We'll be sharing some of that data as a summary to Coulter and then for the 17th convening. Also for us to get a real good sense of where you're at with your primary care plus actions and or if you need training or support on those issues. Next up, let's see. This next step, I know thanks to everyone who was able to answer the previous doodle. It looks like Fridays are an ideal time for us to convene. Wanted to set up a monthly check-in for us. I know not everyone will be able to make it all the time, but I was going to propose that our next CEC call be on Friday, April 3rd at this same time. We are working across geography, and I know your health center schedule. So if this poses a conflict for you, please let me know. Email me individually. I think our goal is to find the best time that everyone can participate. And for that agenda, I just wanted to put out, we will be doing a full report back on the March civic engagement meeting. And then also, I think, talk to some of you about using this as a peer learning time to exchange and hear what other folks are doing. And then we are working fast on the postcard effort, so we'll give an update on that rollout. And then I'm also open to any other agenda items, so this is your time to also connect with one another, so I want to take better advantage of that. So any remaining questions, related or not related, to what we talked about today, but questions that you may have, feel free to ask me and staff here, but we have a few more minutes on the call, or we can close early.
Perla here.
And again, oh yeah, sorry, who is this?
Perla.
Hi, Perla.
Hi. The item on the current reporting period for number 9, those that we were able to develop, I'm sorry, it's item number 9, but those that we developed during the period are for the future reporting period. Is that correct?
Which question is it, Perla? I'm sorry.
I'm referring to the template, the reporting template.
Yes.
Which has a question about the items that we were able to develop during the reporting period. So that refers to the forthcoming period. We developed it during this period, but we're going to do that in the next period. Is that the interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to. It's fine to share, what you worked on and developed during this period, and when you plan to implement it. Yes.
It's a future one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we had another question. I think just you all are due to receive your SALSA login information. What is that? So the logins you should receive before the April makeup training. So I think in the next 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Hopefully not 4. So those will be coming out shortly. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? If not, you could, of course, feel free to call or email me at any time as you finish out the partner survey and your report form this next week. Really appreciate you, and I'm super looking forward to sharing all the great work that I've been doing amongst each other. Thank you for your time on that report. I just briefly wanted to update, and I'll send this in an email as well, that we were going to ask that some folks were asking about invoicing processes. So what APTO plans to do is upon Q3 report submission is to release the remaining balance of your grant awards. But I'll send that out in an email announcement as well. Okay, great. All right, folks. So look forward
to
Jane,
one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe you and Jeff can give us an update on that. My understanding when the Coder Foundation folks were here a couple of weeks ago in New York City, they talk about continuing funding the civic engagement work. That this is just their first year, but they will continue to invest in health centers as well as in other API organizations. That really, for the big push for 2016. Is that your guys' understanding, or do you have any update beyond like the first year grant that we're getting?
Yes, it's a 3-year commitment, Xiao-Chi.
Okay.
And she is committing for the 3 years to all of the organizations, but she also wants to let people know that this is performance-based as well, so that there are some expectations of people making sure that there is progress, that measurable progress that can be reported. But it is a 3-year commitment, and to be very frank, I think it's most likely going to be a 2020 commitment as well. But right now, the current agreement has been for 3 years.
Great. Thank you.
We are in it, so that's why imagine that legacy person.
Yes, that's why you guys imagine that legacy person not only until 2016, but maybe they'll still be there pushing this forward in 2020 when we're all gone.
Not gone. Okay. All right. Great question. Thanks so much, everyone, for your time today, and we'll see some of you in DC, and then also put out a follow-up from this call today around our next call and some of the information that's coming out. Great. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.